Hello everybody, what's going on? My name is Simo and welcome to How I Made Lost Mountains, the original mix. Let's get started. Alrighty, so as always, if you've missed any of the other How I Mades for this, for any other song that I made thus far, be sure to check out the playlist in the description. So that's always going to be fun. Just as a note, like I said, this is the original mix for Lost Mountains. This is not the more recently released VIP mix, which was released a couple months ago. But if you want to check out the original mix, the link for that song will be in the description. And also, just a heads up, just to let you know, FYI, the next song that's going to come out for this How I Made It is going to be the VIP mix. So that's going to be fun. You're going to get to see a lot of years of progress with that, but there you go. But as always, we're going to be covering this series in terms of the progress and how things were made in terms of arrangement, elements, and goals, and then sound design, and then after that, mixing and mastering, which will all be fun. And so let's go on to the arrangement, elements, and goals, starting in reverse order for goals. So let's get started. Alrighty, everybody. So when it comes to this particular track, there's a lot of cool things about the song. And overall, I think really for me, the most important thing about this track is just the fact that it was the song I really wanted to make. It wasn't really anything that kind of started out with like kind of any kind of experiment or me just wanting to try something new. It really was just me wanting to make a track. I mean, that's the vast majority of the songs that I start. But for me, this song and also in particular, this is like basically just me wanting to make a really cool song. And I think I achieved that, at least in terms of like the the arrangement and just the overall like kind of I guess you could say the theme of the track. Just that's basically all this really was. It was just a fun track to really make, and it really did turn out pretty well. So there you go. Now there are some interesting things in terms of like fun facts I can tell you about, and that's three in particular. Is that one of these was actually supposed to have an extended mix. Now there was, like I said, there was supposed to be like an extended mix and then a shortened mix, but I decided, you know what, now I'm just going to stick with the quote unquote shortened mix as the original mix, because this song, it's already kind of long, isn't it? Anyway, I think it was going to be about 9 minutes, so 6 minutes, over 6 minutes and 30 seconds is kind of long enough, and I'm kind of content, for at least for the time being. My longest track being, I believe, the You With Me original mix, which maybe kind of tapered on for too long, but there you go. But that's that. Also, too, this song was not supposed to be called Ice. It's not supposed to be called Lost Mountains at first. It was supposed to be called Ice Tops, because for me, at least, the main melody behind this song sounds almost sort of like a Mario track. And also in combination with like the FX sounds, it sounds like that even more, honestly. So that's always interesting too. It just sounds really cool in my opinion, but there you go. And one more fun fact, if you ever want to just realize where you start from and how much you've actually improved, just go look at the amount of time it took you to actually produce a song, and you'll see, for at least me, 67 hours. Now, I could be totally completely wrong in terms of like this, because what ended up happening on some projects before is that what I would end up doing is basically just accidentally leaving it on repeat for a very long period of time, not realizing that it's making the total time spent on it longer than what it really was. So it could just be for the fact that this track is not exactly that long, but I will fully admit I have absolutely no shame in saying that it probably was over 67 hours to complete the song. And just letting you know, like just kind of a time difference between this and the VIP mix in terms of time spent. Not even close. VIP mix, I believe, was spent about a little over 7 hours, actual total time on everything. Part of that, and most of that, has to do with the fact that my processes are a lot more refined in terms of how I approach making music and the sound design and things like that. But overall, 67 versus 7. Pick your pick. So there you go. But I think that's really all the fun facts behind this song that I can really think of at the moment, and not really sure there's anything else. Oh yeah, actually, I guess there is one other thing, and that is basically the fact that this track was also made, I think, on FL Studio 10. So hence the reason why a lot of the colors, like if you change color, let's see, if we change color to the actual blue that this would be now on FL Studio 10, you'll notice that hey, it's a lot more clear, a lot more whatever else, and it's not this grayed out blue. So just letting you know about that too. So there you go. Now let's get into the elements. The elements, actually, there's not that many elements, surprisingly enough. There are a few, but it's not like, like some other tracks where it's like 10 different like bass elements and then like 7 or 8 different like stringed elements or something like that, or melodic elements in general. It's not like that at all. I think I can count maybe like 4 melodic elements. So let's go ahead and get started. And just like 3 bass elements too. Not a whole lot of variety, but it works. So this first thing we have is this pluck. It's just a harmor pluck. Basically back when I made all my plucks in Harmor. Depending on the kind of sound that I want, I'll either use Harmor or Serum. For me, Serum is much easier to get that dead mouse, that traditional dead mouse pluck. But if I want something a little bit more unique, I'll go for Harmor because it's just easier to make that work. It's not to say you can't have a dead mouse pluck, like a perfectly original sounding, like the actual like kind of copy sounding of like the dead mouse pluck you hear in Strobe or something like that. It's not to say you can't have that kind of sound in Harmor. It's just a lot harder to do, and there's a lot more things you got to do to make that work. Just for what it is, and also considering the fact that the way you do a pluck and just the way that Harmor is an additive synthesizer versus basically using a pure subtractive style of things, makes it automatically so there's going to be a lot of differences by itself anyway. So there you go. But yeah, that's the first thing. We got that pluck thing. After that, we have this cello spiccato, which is actually from I'm not even going to pronounce this. So you see the title of this. I actually don't think they're making this plugin anymore. I don't remember exactly where I got it, but I know you can't get it anymore without downloads. The other kind of downloads. So there you go, if you know what I mean. So that's that thing right there. Then we get this cello warm, the same plugin thing. Fun stuff there. The melody for this particular, like the actual like long string, I consider this like the long string of this particular song. Well, this other one is basically just a boom, 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 boom. Fun stuff. And then finally we have one more melodic element, and you'll be surprised by this one completely. This is FL keys. I'm laughing because it's FL keys, man. I forgot I actually used FL keys in a track. just a heads up. No, I no longer use FL keys at all. So, but for a Rhodes piano, this isn't half bad. I I mean, it's a Rhodes piano. I mean, what else can you say, right? So, whatever. It's light on the CPU, so that worked. Gosh dang. And it's at the very end of the song too, so it's only like in one different in one particular part, which is I believe this one right here. So there you go. Now as far as bass elements are concerned, we have the sub bass, obviously. That's the number one thing there, and it's really the thing that's mostly common in the track. You really don't hear like the sound design bass until the second drop, which is something I used to like. Depending on the song, I will say this: like, depending on the song, kind of my difficulty with getting like a sound design edge on the song is really gonna make or break whether or not I actually have any kind of sound design in the song at all. And at first, I really couldn't figure out how to make that work for just the intro of the first drop, which is why you only hear a sub bass for this. Now, there you go. But that's not the only things we shall hear, and as you can hear, we have other things as well. Which this one is I believe it's like this high pitched harmor sound. It's like a phaser sound type of thing. So. And I think this is something that was stylized after a seamless bass. I can't recall anything about how or why it was made from that. But I do think that I think I watched some type of Seamless R video that was talking about sound design. It might have been one of his like how to bass videos. And basically I think I might have just copied that and altered it and stuff. But yeah. Essentially this sound is a phaser bass. So the next thing after that, we have two audio basses. We have one in particular, which is going to be, I believe it's this one. Yes, we have this one right here. This sound is not a sound that I made at all. In fact, it's not even close. Let me see if I can find the original sound, because it is within a actual sample pack. Yes. Let's see. I know it's in here. Neural hop. It's a Nero sound, so it's gonna be here obviously. I have the actual like sound, the file name. It's Logic, but made by a guy named Logispark. Let's see if I can find it somewhere. The Scrotum Theory? Yes. That's the sound right there. And I just basically retooled it for the use of, like, in terms of, like, pitch and things like that, I just retooled it for this song. That's really all I did. So, there you go. Made it fit the BPM and also, I believe, the key. Yes. Now, we have one other thing. We have this other audio bass. Now, this other audio bass is actually not what you think. This is actually a sound I made myself. Like this is one, like in terms of all three sound design stuff. In terms of the basses, this is the other one that I did make. The other, like I said, Scrotum Theory, I did not make that at all. And the high pitch harmor bass, I did that, but this one was the other one that I did indeed do. How I made this bass, I do remember this one pretty clear. I was struggling with making a really good like monster growl using vocoding, which no longer really a problem for me if I really want to do that kind of sound. Like not even a problem a bit. But the thing is that I was really struggling with trying to make that work. And so I decided what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna follow what Seamless does. Follow Seamless R. I don't really remember exactly what video it was, but I do know that I followed a vocoder monster based thing that he basically did. I just tried to copy him as much as I could, and I came up with this sound. And really, the only thing I think I just basically turned it down a semitone to match the key. So, there you go. And that was it. In terms of sound design, that is all there is to it. You got a sub bass, you got a high pitch Harmer Reese phaser thing, you got a bass that was not made by me, which I have no idea how it was made, but you can find it somewhere. Just Neurohop production, free sample pack. You should find it somewhere. Maybe searching on Reddit. And then a monster bass that I basically copied from Seamless, but basically made my own as well. So there you go. Now, in terms of other sounds, we have the drums, and we're going to also talk about a little bit on the FX. If I actually have the drums highlighted. This is actually a kick from the same Neurohop sample pack I was just talking about maybe like 10 seconds ago. This is one from the drum section. See if I can find it. Drum samples, please. Let's see. Where the freak did he go? Here it is. I think I just changed it up so I could basically make it so that it doesn't have a weird, like, a few milliseconds of of near silence or something. But that's basically the kick. It is retooled as such with an EQ, which this is a very old track, so not a whole lot of common production styles. And then similarly speaking, we also have the snare being the same thing in terms of from a actual thing. Canopy Snare 8. This sounds pretty good. A lot of EQing with the snare just to kind of bring out the stuff I wanted to bring out, and then we also have a lot of master effects. With a lot of Maximus going on here, just Maximus galore. So I had experimented a lot with other stuff. Then we have the Reverb 2 for the reverb. And then finally, we also have the cymbals as well. Cymbals are a lot of fun, I guess. This is how I used to do things. It's actually not that different from how I do things now, to be honest with you, in terms of like how I actually go about making cymbals work, but not also all that similar to how I do things now. So just, I guess, a thing to keep in mind. Yeah. Now let's get on to the arrangement, because I think that's... Oh wait, no, there is one other thing. Almost forgot. We have this riser, this white noise effect. I don't really know... It's a sound from somewhere. I don't really know what it is, though. White noise riser 1. Huh. Oh yeah, it must be a slice beat. That's where it's at. Okay. Go to slice beats real quick. This is gonna be interesting. I make slash beats, yo. Slashing your beats one at a time. That's just barely. Oh, well, there you go. But yeah, I think this is all it was. And basically, I don't exactly remember how I made this riser sound, but it's actually kind of cool. So. Although it seems like the peak controller was definitely a huge part in this. So, that's cool. But yeah, in terms of every other sound now, that is the last one. So let's go on to now the arrangement, talking about the arrangement of this stuff. So there you go. Now the first thing with the arrangement is that basically this is a very long track, so just keep that in mind. And it's almost nothing but 16 bars, but it's still, because of the tempo and also the fact that it's like it's technically more like 32 bars for each main section, but could be split up into 16 bars themselves. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So we got this intro here. If we were to play everything together. And that's basically that right there. And it starts to go on to the bigger part of the intro, which I'm going to call, I basically call this part B, which is where things start picking up even more. And that's where things actually just sort of full blast off into full intro energy territory. And then finally we get the breakdown. 16 bars there, and then we got another, then we got the first drop actually. We got finally the first drop. That was actually one of my first times really experimenting with a sort of like a pause in the middle of a song. Really taken to great effect with my Lost Mountains VIP mix. But anyway, that's 16 bars of drop 1 part A. And then part B basically just continues the energy on, so there you go. Then that's basically the first drop. Now we have the next thing, which is the breakdown. And that's basically that in terms of, part A of the breakdown 2, the next breakdown. So, but this track actually does something kind of interesting overall. This is actually technically the second track I've ever made that actually feature any kind of key change at all. I've done so many songs with key changes, it's not even funny. But I do know that this is one where the first time I ever experimented with actually going down a semitone, which is actually preferred now. I much prefer going down a semitone than going up a semitone. And I really stick to the going up a semitone, or like kind of like the little stair step thing where I go up like 5 semitones, but in a way that kind of builds up the song. I only stick to those for like happier songs, generally speaking. I mean, you can just take a look at like Hero, the track Hero, or or my song Take a Minute Here if you really want some good examples of this. So there you go. Or even better yet, just the original one where I actually first did any kind of key change or any kind of song, which is the track Just Chill the Freak Out from my Foreign Life EP. So, there you go. And yeah, so the breakdown really gets started. And from the last 8 bars of the second breakdown of part B, we do start to introduce the sound design stuff. So yeah, fun stuff. And then we get into the actual drop. Kind of mix up the little strings there. And that's basically drop 2 of part A. Well, part A of drop 2. There we go. Like I said, all this is 16 bars. Every single section that I'm talking about here that I've highlighted thus far, like, drop 2, part A, drop breakdown 1, part B, all 16 bars. There is no variation with that whatsoever. Same with drop 2 of part B of drop 2. I keep getting that mixed up. I don't know why. But yeah, and then finally we get the outro. Which finally includes that Rhodes piano, so yeah, pretty freaking sweet. Awesome stuff there. So that's the arrangement, that is the elements, and that was the goal. So, and hopefully you also enjoyed those fun facts for you too. Now we're actually going to get started with sound design, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I basically am just going to go ahead and skim over it, but at the same time though, I will do my best to try and talk about some stuff as best as I possibly can. So there you go. Let's get started with the sound design, yo. Designing of sounds and sound designing. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Sound design stuff. Yeah. Basically, in terms of like stuff and things for this, alright, so what are you doing here? Waiting for host. The sound design, there's not a whole lot of sounds that I can really talk about. And the fortunate thing is about at least some of this stuff is that it's a little bit easier to discuss than it is for other things. Some of these things I kind of just, I'll just tell you right now, I didn't make them. Well, really, there's one of them I didn't make. And I will tell you how to find it, but at the same time, though, I couldn't tell you exactly how that sound was made. Not even a little bit, actually, because I didn't make the sound, period. We'll get to that when we get to it, though. We have a different discussion when it comes to that sound. But this sound right here, this is, and all the other ones, I can tell you at least kind of my thought process and some things about it. So there you go. Excuse me. So this sound, this is a Harmer sound, obviously, as you can see. It is utilizing mostly the phaser. Everything else is not anything like that at all. The unison is in Hertz mode, and also with the Alt tab, alternate unison distribution turned on. Unison order 2. There's a lot of like pan is super high, pitch is super high, so it's just just phased all over. Although I will say, unison pitch thickness though is basically might as well be at 25%. Because what ends up happening with this particular sound is that the unison pitch thickness is all the way up, but unison pitch thickness on the envelope section is basically going down to 25% level after just a couple of milliseconds. And so what ends up happening is that it starts off really crazy, but then it goes down to about 25% level, and you could make it go down all the way down like this. So it's basically static and there is no movement. It's basically the same thing as me, it's like basically the first few milliseconds, it starts off here and then just drops down like that. That's that's basically what ends up happening there. So, but yeah, I could do it like that. But instead of, dropping all the way down to the floor, it's more like about 25%. Basically going down to this level right here. So there you go. Then phase, unison phase, let's see, what actually is the percentage of that? 91%? Yeah, it's just pretty high up there, so there you go. Am I messing around with the harmonic unison pitch? Yes, there is a huge just thing. Basically, it's going all the way down with the shape. It's not exactly hitting from bottom left to top right, but it's almost there. So there's almost no unison pitch change at all with the lower harmonics, but there is there's almost all max with the higher harmonics, and basically a slope in between all this. So there goes that. I already discussed unison pitch thickness. I think other than that, we have some other stuff to talk about. We have distortion, log distortion, not really much different other than the filter all the way at max. Chorus settings right here, you can just copy them as you see fit. Reverb. I am utilizing reverb. I forgot I was doing that. Just helps with the craziness, I guess. Metallic sound. Speaking of metallic, harmonizer is also being used. Although it's not, I don't think it's changing it that much. Just a little bit. Although I will say the main part of where the metallic nature is coming from, not only just the phaser, but also the fact that the detune is in kind of a different weird place. So if we put the detune back at 3, this is what it sounds like. Just makes it sound a little bit more high pitchy and all that good stuff. And phase randomness is apparently all the way over to spectral, which basically means that it's a blurry mess. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that needs to be talked about with this? Nothing in particular, I don't think. I don't think there's actually anything else to talk about. Harmonizer, phaser, unison, phase, randomness, unison pitch thickness, harmonic unison pitch. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So there you go for that sound. After that, we do have a sub bass for this. This is basically designed to kind of match what the other thing was doing. That's all it was. It's just basically matching what this sound is doing here. Just so that it kind of, the sub bass is at least feeling like it's doing the same thing. And then finally, let's go into the audio basses. We have this monster bass. Like I said in the arrangement elements and goals section, this sound was made from a Seamless, basically copying what Seamless R did in a monster bass vocoder thing. Literally, if you look up any kind of vocoder tutorial vocoder monster bass tutorial that Seamless R had did, that's basically the process. I can tell you that much for sure. And really all I did is that I basically decided, okay, I'm going to basically do that, but now I'm going to have them all in the 12-tone scale. So let me just show you what I mean by that. If we go back to the bass samples, where this is located, it's bass number 2, 140 BPM. Okay, cool. So you got this there. That's actually the original sound right there. Those two notes might be off. I might have mislabeled them or something. This one sounds like D sharp and this one sounds like D. Yeah, I think I mislabeled those. Just found that out. But yeah, there you go. That's basically that. Just vocoder just look up any Seamless R tutorial where you teaching how to do a vocoder monster bass, and that's basically it. A lot of other cool stuff you can do to make that kind of sound, but that's how that was made. And this one, we're going to actually get into more of a talk about, different things regarding other people's sounds. Because this is not my sound. It is not my sound a bit. It is actually from the what is it? Neurohop sample pack number 1. Like I said, this sound is not mine at all. It is made by a guy named Logispark, who has some really dope sounds. I'm not even joking when I say this. These are some of the best sounds ever. Just amazing stuff. And we're actually going to talk a bit about doing that kind of stuff in your own tracks. Utilizing sample packs, different sounds that are, not really drums at all, honestly, but just bass sounds, melodic stuff. Really just the whole talk of using other people's sounds in your particular song. Quite frankly, nothing wrong with it. Flat out. If you cannot come up with the sound that you want and you can just find it in a sample pack, nobody's gonna bat an eye other than maybe other producers if they can figure out that is a sound that you did not make. Because at the end of the day, nobody really cares. Nobody. Let me say it again. Nobody really cares if you didn't make all your sounds or if you resampled all your sounds. I'm gonna tell you right now, the best sounds I've ever made were purely resampled stuff in Harmon. Not even joking. In fact, really, quite honestly with you, all the sounds in the Lost Mountain VIP, they're all resampled. So there you go. If you want to use a sound that you have found in a sample pack and you're like, this is really cool, I want to put it in my track, go ahead and do it. No one's going to care. Because at the end of the day, it's not about, who made what, but it's about how are you able to put it together and does it sound freaking awesome. So that's the part you should care about, and that's really it. So that's my talk, and hopefully that was very enlightening for you if that wasn't already obvious. So now let's get on to the white noise riser, which I do not remember that much about how this. I'm going to be exploring this just as you guys are. So there you go. I'm gonna basically just do some stuff with this. Let's see. So apparently, in terms of sounds, what ended up happening, I guess what ended up happening is that I don't know, I boosted up the highs a lot, I guess, and then added a lot of reverb to this. There you go. Another boost to the highs. I wonder why. Then really did some master compression to kind of keep things down, but also make them more compressed, I guess. Then we have this fruity free filter. I guess is it seems like it's just simply an extra layer for stuff. I don't know. Just low pass filter, very low resonance. Another reverb. And I guess this one was just to look at the actual EQ spectrum. There you go with that one. And then we routed it into here because this is made in FL Studio 10. We ran into insert slots because there was only 8 at the time. So fruity balance. Apparently this is the one that's determining the LFO sound. And then we have another fruity balance, and then another fruity balance. And I don't know what these were for at all, so I couldn't tell you. And the peak controller, which is determining that LFO sound. So, not very in depth, but hey, I really do not remember exactly how I made this. But one thing I can say, I really don't care about white noise risers and risers in general. The last time I did a riser sound in any kind of track whatsoever was actually it was kind of a recent song, but really it was just simply my track "Comfort with the Uncomfortable" from my "Content with Apathy" EP. That was the last one, and the only other 2 tracks I think that it had anything remotely of that sort was, or at least one other track was I believe the intro song, which is Introduction to Apathy, it had that weird granulized FX riser type of sound, and I think that might have been the only one, other than Comfort with the Uncomfortable. So, yeah, there you go. Not a huge fan of doing them. I really feel like more or less now, I mean, this isn't really true, but it's just more like akin to my laziness with that particular aspect of music production, but I can't be bothered to just put in white noise risers or risers in general, because quite frankly, what I'm just simply going to do, to be honest with you, man, is that I'm going to take this white noise riser. Sorry for anybody's ears that might bleed in just a second, so just volume warning, just letting you know. But basically, I'm just going to take this white noise riser, right? Sorry. I'm going to take that noise and basically put a low pass filter, some reverb, and then maybe some like chorus effects and stuff like that. And basically just take also another volume thing and just modulate it according to the track. That's really what I'm going to do. I'll just change the white noise sample so it actually matches the tempo, and that's really it. But yeah, just not much else really about that I would really want to do. And just rises in general, they don't interest me anymore as they used to. Like, they used to be really cool sound design tools. Maybe it's just me getting lazier and stuff like that, but overall, I can't be bothered to put them in like I did before with this particular track, so whatever. So there you go. But that's all the sound designing. I think actually we did go in depth with all the sound designs, so all the sounds and stuff. So that's fun. Let's go ahead and talk about the mixing and mastering next, which is actually right now. So go ahead, get started, and continue watching, yo. Yeah. Alrighty, so now we're on to the mixing and mastering. Now, because this is an older track, there's a lot of bad stuff in the song because this is not a good mix. If you want to make a mix, don't pay attention to the original mix of Lost Mountains. It sucks. And there is one giant reason why it does suck. A lot of the things I did in this track are actually somewhat similar to what I do now in terms of like mixing. Like, for example, using Fruity Balance, I believe. No, I didn't use Fruity Balance. I used Fruity Limiter, huh? They didn't even do that, did I? But no, I basically what I'm trying to say is, I have to be proven wrong with that thing. What I'm basically trying to say is this mix sucks. But the reason why it sucks is really entirely down to mostly one thing. There's a lot of smaller other things that I could change as well to make it sound better. But overall, the biggest thing is quite literally the overuse of reverb. Just too much freaking reverb. This is the reason why I always tell people, don't have reverb in your songs. Seriously, don't do it. Unless you have like sort of a stylized thing you're trying to do with a particular instrument or something else, you don't want to have reverb in your song. And this track has so much of it. It's just like, what in the world? Listen to that much reverb. And it also doesn't help the fact that I'm boosting it basically with Maximus too. Like, honestly, it's just so awful. So, just so much reverb. That's the biggest thing, and really the core problem with having too much reverb in your song, if you really don't understand why I mean don't have reverb, is quite simple. The purpose of reverb is to basically draw out the particular sound you want to have it stretch over time. Essentially what you end up doing is that you're blurring the sound. It's basically like, imagine like, for example, you have like this piece of paper, right? Like this rough piece of paper, and you just chalk on it. Well, if you smudge it, or even just take a regular pencil, smudge it, you blur it. And if you do that to an actual good piece of art, you're gonna mess up the art. Just hands down, you're gonna mess it up. And so that's essentially what reverb is kind of like with your song right there. Like, in some cases, in special uses, you can really make it look good. Like, if you're drawing a particular picture, right, and you basically smudge it in such a way that it makes it look more realistic, then yeah, it's very good practical use of your blurring of the picture or smudging of the picture. Just like with reverb, if you're using it in a more of a stylized method, yeah, basically you have that going on there. It's going to work out pretty well. But if you just have it just blurred everywhere, just all over the place, it's going to basically ruin the picture. And this is exactly what happened in terms of the music for this particular track. There's just too much reverb, just way too much. I mean, look at the pluck. Like, just look at this. We got reverb on the harmor, and then we also got more reverb on here, which is not that loud admittedly. I don't think it's at least that loud, but it still makes a huge difference. Actually, a bigger difference than what I'm stating. It's just so much reverb. It's unnecessary, completely unnecessary. It's too much blurring going on of everything, and so what ends up happening is you have a convoluted mix. Don't get me wrong, some stuff still punches through alright, like the kick, but the snare could have been way better. Just things are just too blurred, and the only thing that really saves this track from being nothing short of an absolute disaster mix-wise is the fact that there's really only technically up to 4 elements in this song in terms of melodic stuff. And one of them only appears at the very end of the track when everything's slowing down anyway, so there you go. So basically only like 3 elements being played at any kind of majority of the time. So that's really the only thing that saves this track hardcore. If I had like the same amount of elements as I had in some other of my tracks and still the same amount of reverb, this track would be destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Purely because of the fact that I put too much reverb. Now, we're going to talk about the same thing in the next how I made tutorial thing for the VIP, which is coming up next week. But I'm gonna also again show you that too much reverb is bad, and this is the bad side of using too much reverb, and the good side of that will be for the VIP mix, which will show you the clarity that you get from not using hardly any, which is going to be amazing, and the difference in mix is just gonna be like what. So this is some test stuff right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil alert for you. Just go ahead and show you exactly what I mean. In case you're like, no man, reverb is good, I don't use as much as one. Yeah, you're wrong, but okay. And yes, I did try to put this in dubstep gutter. Maybe you can help me out with that too. So this is actually this is like I said, this right here, this thing, this this song, yep. This song is the original mix. That is the original mix. You want to hear how the VIP mix sounds? That's the intro. Just listen to the drop for a sec. Way better mix. Everything's punchier, everything is clearer, everything is not clouded by the blurriness of reverb, and it sounds dope. This is why I always advocate people do not use reverb in your song unless you have a stylized reason to do so, because that's the results you get when you actually do that advice. And trust me, it works better for you if you do it like that. You can have as much reverb as you want, but then again, at the same time though, you really shouldn't, because I'm telling you, it's a better way to live in terms of music production. So there you go. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you all on the next one for next week, and that will be for quite simply the Lost Mountains VIP mix, as I keep mentioning, because that one is a fun song and we're gonna have a lot of fun with that track, because that was a good song and I deeply enjoyed that one. So yeah, but anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe for all more, and also some other content that I also do, such as gaming commentaries and just montages, if that's something you like to do, like the traditional dubstep Call of Duty montages. Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, I'll catch y'all in the next one, and goodbye. Yay!